Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. Today we're going to be talking about basically 10 different tips or things that you can do to improve your health and fitness is today's topic. So we basically made a list of what we thought were 10 very important but also simple things that you can adopt into your daily lifestyle to help improve your health and your fitness. And these are things that anybody can do and start implementing, whether you're a beginner or maybe whether you're an advanced athlete, or if you're already working out a lot, just some things to help improve your progress or your results. So the first thing on our list is focusing on quality sleep. So a lot of people underestimate the power of sleep. When we sleep is actually when we recover both our mind and our body. And a lot of people, because of technology, we're staying up late on our phones and watching TV and binge watching. You stay up a little bit later, but you're also delaying the melatonin production, which actually puts you to sleep and helps you get that deep sleep and REM sleep that you need. A lot of people just don't get good quality or enough time. So we want to try to make sure that we're getting high quality sleep. So I'll let these guys kind of say maybe what they might do to help get better sleep, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, so for getting better sleep, there's a bunch of different things you can do. We've touched on them before, of like making your room dark. I run a fan at night. It helps with you get a little bit of white noise, and it also helps me to stay cooler. I like to sleep actually pretty cold. So it kind of depends on the people in your house. If you can open a window at night, if it's not too noisy around you, and it gets cool enough. This past week it has not gotten cool enough to open your window at night. But when it gets down to 60 degrees or 65, and that's really good temperature for sleeping. And then making sure that your sleep environment is set up for success. Maybe you want to keep electronics outside the bedroom if possible. That way you're not tempted to go on your screen either midnight or late at night.
Yeah, I think that people really underestimate how much sleep you really need and how it really does help you function. If you don't get good quality sleep, you're going to wake up in the morning and just be exhausted, and so of course you're not going to be motivated to go to work, let alone to come and work out afterwards. So just making sure you're getting good quality sleep, doing all those things Bethany said. Setting, I know iPhones have this, I'm not sure about other phones, but I actually set my phone so that my screen time goes off at 9 o'clock, so I can't get on my apps anymore, I can't be scrolling on social media anymore. So that at 9 o'clock I put my phone down, I get out my book, I read for a half hour to 45 minutes, and that just helps put me to sleep a lot better and quicker, and I do sleep better. I sleep through the night, which I never did before I started implementing that. So.
Yeah. So a really easy, quick tip for you guys, I would just say no screens, and then I also put no snooze. If you hit snooze over and over again in the morning, you're just going to wake up kind of in a rush and a panic. It also makes you really groggy because, most phones snooze from 5 to 9 minutes, depending on the phone that you have. So during that 5 to 9 minutes, you're not going to fall back into a deep sleep, but you're going to start to. So you're just falling into a sleep and waking up in this cycle. So you're going to wake up really groggy, plus you lost that time, so you're in a rush to get ready, probably don't have time to make breakfast or anything, or maybe pack your gym bag. So then the whole entire day is just kind of thrown off. So I would say no screens before bed and no snoozing in the morning will definitely help you get better quality sleep, but also kind of set you up for the day a lot better. Like Caitlin said, you're just going to feel better. It's going to make the whole day better. You have more energy, things like that. So the next one, I believe getting half your body weight in ounces of water is very important. A lot of people underestimate just the power of staying hydrated. I like to compare the water for a body is like putting motor oil in your motor. You have to make sure you're getting oil changes regularly. If it's running low, you're gonna break down your motor pretty much. So if you're not staying hydrated, your body's just gonna break down. It's not gonna operate as good as it should. And when you're a little bit dehydrated, your brain functions also decline. So that's where you're going to be feeling that mental fatigue, brain fog, things like that. So I would definitely recommend just trying to shoot for at least 64 ounces, if not half your body weight.
Yeah, and there's also a little bit of an underrated tip with water is if you are drinking water more throughout the day, it seems like you get a little bit less hungry just because your stomach is kind of filled up with more water. It also keeps you a little bit busy. Sometimes people snack or eat out of boredom, and having to constantly drink water just kind of helps the people to give their mind off of trying to eat food, like they're sipping water, sipping something else. But my tip is to add a little bit of like electrolytes. So whether that's, you can add like lemon juice and a pinch of Himalayan salt or something like that to your water. Instead of just having plain water, it's going to help with the absorption of those electrolytes, sodium and potassium, all of those, which that goes into your overall hydration status. So just taking a bunch of, like a gallon of plain water is a little bit overkill, especially if you do have a cleaner diet and you don't have a lot of sodium, not a lot of processed foods, then you could be putting your body at a state where it's actually not going to be functioning optimally without those electrolytes.
Yeah, I was just gonna touch more on like the feeling fuller. Like your brain, believe it or not, doesn't really know the difference between being full and just needing more water. So if you don't drink any water, but you're eating and then you feel hungry 20 minutes later, but you haven't drank any water, like you're probably not actually still hungry. Your body just needs water. So a tip that I have is like drinking like 8 ounces of water before you eat your meal, just to kind of give your body a little bit of satisfaction, so that way you're not overeating when it comes to your meals.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that your body doesn't really know the difference between hunger and thirst sometimes. So if you are really hungry or if you're kind of craving something, another tip that you can do is drink a glass of water, wait 15 minutes, and if you're still hungry, then you can grab a snack or something like that. But if you've already eaten enough for the day and you feel like you're still hungry and you need a snack, you could just be a little bit dehydrated. So great tips. The next one will fall under, we have 2 under kind of the training or fitness category. So we believe that you just need to move every day. This will definitely help you with your overall health and your fitness. It could be something as simple as going for a 10-minute walk or just staying active at work, whether you get up a couple times from your desk and walk around. Getting a workout in obviously would be highly suggested. It could be something like just getting outside and like going golfing or maybe going paddleboarding in the summer, something like that, kayaking, going camping and doing things like that. Just something to stay active and moving your body. We just don't move enough, and we are made to move. So as long as you do that every day, you're definitely going to improve your health.
Yeah, exactly. For like a couple years ago, we've been much more automated when it comes to our society, when we have much more things online. A lot of our time is spent sitting, and we're doing our jobs sitting, and we're not really moving around much. So one tip you could do is get a standing desk. So there are some stands that you can like elevate a computer or something with, that you can then stand at your desk and allows you to move around a little bit more while you're working. I think people underestimate the value of these non-exercise activities. It burns a lot more calories than people think. So some people will really focus on, I burned 400 calories during this workout. And even if that activity tracker was accurate, which usually they kind of overestimate how many you actually burn, people don't track what they're doing the rest of the day. So even if they're in the gym for an hour, there's still a lot of other hours outside of the gym that they can reap the benefits of exercise, even though they're not, being very high intensity like they are in the gym. The little movements throughout the day, like going for a 10-minute walk, doing kayaking, something that you enjoy doing, that's also classified as exercise.
Yeah, one little tip, this actually relates back to the water thing, but I actually had a teacher in school when I was getting my exercise science degree tell me this tip, which I thought is kind of genius because you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But drink water, drink a lot of water, because especially if you have a job where you're sitting at a desk, because if you drink a lot of water, you're gonna have to pee I pee every like half hour to an hour. So that gives you an excuse to get up from your desk and go to the bathroom, take your time, walk around, stretch a little bit. So that's just something so simple that you can do. Again, you're getting in your water and you're getting in some movement. And the other thing is, like, people think, I only have 10 minutes, so it'd be a waste of time to, get any exercise in or get a 10-minute walk in, so they just don't do anything because it's only 10 minutes, where that's 10 minutes more than the next person who's sitting not doing anything. So don't ever waste 5 or 10 minutes. Get up and move as much as you can.
Yeah, and I'll just add, Bethany mentioned this should be one of the top 10, but given that we live in Michigan and only about 4 months of the year we can do this, If you can, like if you're at work, not only get up and move, but try to get outside and move, like go for a walk outside. Just getting some sunlight and fresh air not only is going to get you some exercise, but it's also going to help relieve a lot of stress and just kind of give you a little mental break from work or whatever you're doing. And you're going to go back to work a little bit more refreshed and recharged. So you're going to feel better going into the rest of your day if you do that like at lunchtime or something. So just another little side tip on there. Not only move, but if you can move, go outside and do it. Sometimes when we have like active recovery days, we'll take the rower or the air bike or whatever right outside in the parking lot and we'll do our active recovery workout, or we'll just go for a bike ride or a walk or something like that. So definitely very, very beneficial. The next one with the training is resistance training about 2 or 3 days a week minimum. So as long as you can use some form of resistance, whether that's just body weight like push-ups, pull-ups, squats, sit-ups, burpees, or if you can go to the gym and use dumbbells and barbells and kettlebells and things like that, it only takes about 30 minutes, 2 to 3 days a week minimum, and you can experience tremendous benefits in muscular strength, building muscle, bone density. It's also going to help with fat loss as well. There's thousands of studies that show that a 45-minute resistance training workout will actually stimulate and burn more body fat than a 45-minute cardio workout, for example.
Yeah, so that comes to like the long-term benefits of resistance training versus just hopping on the elliptical and doing cardio, because you are building that muscle and it's more metabolically active than fat. So metabolically active would mean that it just burns more calories when you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be active then to burn calories. You can come here and hit a workout that's going to help and build muscle as long as you hit it with the right intensity. You're progressively overloading, so trying to either do more reps or do more weight, more sets for each exercise section, then you're going to help stimulate that muscle growth. It's going to also help with hormone stimulation that is associated, human growth hormone, which tends to decrease after we hit about the age of 30. It kind of peaks throughout the 20s and starts to slowly decline. So once you get older, you have less production of that. But exercise is one of the very few things that can actually help your body to naturally start producing more of it, and at least the benefits of better sleep, better skin quality, better just bodily functions overall.
Yeah, I think resistance training is good for literally everybody, no matter how old you are. Especially, we live in a very stressful, anxious world, and they say that 30 minutes of resistance training is actually equivalent to taking an antidepressant medication, which is just crazy to me. It kind of blows my mind, but I don't know anybody who's not stressed out or anxious most of the time. So just getting some movement can help so much with that. And also, like kind of as Bethany was saying, like as we age, we slowly lose muscle. Like that just happens as you get older, but resistance training can kind of combat that and help you to slow that aging process, slow that muscle loss, and also slow the loss of like bone density and osteoporosis and stuff like that. So it's good for everybody, even if you're not trying to get as big as you can, just to stay healthy throughout your aging process.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's not just all about losing fat and gaining muscle and looking better. It's about feeling better. A lot of us live stressful lives, stressful at work, with kids, and not necessarily in a bad way. I mean, there's a lot of good stressors. Even if you love what you do, it still can tire you out, and you can still get stressed out by things. So getting that workout in, it releases the happy hormones in our body, the serotonin and dopamine, which are the same hormones that get released when you have drugs or alcohol or sugar. So you actually get that same feeling and sensation from a workout. But the workout's obviously a lot more healthy and beneficial than drugs or sugar or alcohol. So we would recommend that you do that, a few days a week, getting that resistance training in. You're not only just going to feel better, but you're going to be a lot healthier, and it's going to help you in the long run too. Like Bethany was saying, building that muscle actually helps you burn more calories, so you're going to stay healthier longer from doing that too. The next 5 are under kind of the nutrition category. So, first one, try to have a serving of protein, high quality protein, with each of your meals. And ideally, you want to try to have 3 meals a day, which is actually another tip, so we can kind of put those together. Try to have about 3 meals a day and have a protein source with each one. This is just going to help you with that muscle building. So when you are doing resistance training, you're breaking down the muscle, you want to rebuild it, and protein is the building block of muscle. So you want to try to make sure that you're getting some high quality proteins in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spreading those protein feedings throughout the day is what's maximal for muscle growth, muscle hypertrophy, recovering from your workouts, and for overall satiation, so satiety, feeling full from your meals. That's a big thing with having enough protein, is it's the most filling nutrient. It's actually helps with thermogenesis, so your body has to break down the protein, and it has to work a lot harder to break down proteins than it does for fats or carbs. So you actually burn a little bit more calories through just increasing your protein intake. So if you go from 80 grams a day to 160 grams a day, like a gram per pound of body weight or something like that, then you're going to be burning more calories through that. And with having, spaced three, I recommend 3 to 5 meals a day if you can. I know it's not realistic for some people, but even if it's a shake post-workout is like your 4th meal, even though it's not like a typical meal that we would think of, that's one way to just kind of space out those protein feedings throughout the day. And as long as it's kind of equal, then you're getting enough for your body. We usually go based on body weight or lean body mass when we account like for your body fat percentage. That's usually what we kind of go off of for that.
Yeah, and just kind of add to eating 3 to 5 meals a day. Food is fuel, and that is something that we will preach until the day that we die. People are so afraid to eat, and I think probably 90% of the people that come in here are not eating enough, and maybe even more percentage. I think just so many people who come to us are not eating enough. And so just making sure that you are remembering that your body cannot function without food. It's just like putting gas into a car, like Taylor says all the time, you need food to function. And so we need to stop looking at food as the enemy and instead look at it as fuel, and especially protein.
Yeah.
It's just so important. And I think a lot of women especially are afraid to eat protein because it's going to make them bulky. I haven't tracked my calories in a while, but I probably eat way over my body weight in protein, and I don't look bulky.
Yeah.
So
it would take, just to kind of like add on to that, in order to get really bulky, for one, you'd have to eat a big surplus of calories, overall calories, not just protein, plus crazy amounts of really heavy lifting, and even then it's very, very hard to get really, really bulky.
Naturally.
Yeah. So it is very tough. So don't worry about that. Eating protein and lifting heavy weights is another big thing. Women need to do that. It definitely helps you with wherever your goal is, whether it is looking toned or burning body fat. Heavy lifting is definitely going to help with that. But moving right into the next tip, this one kind of flows right off of what we just talked about, is eating more whole foods, or just trying to eat more whole foods in general. And what we mean by that is basically, foods in its natural source with, that are more nutrient dense. So think of fruits and vegetables, meats, things that are just one ingredient basically, or it doesn't have a bunch of added processed foods or preservatives or added sugars or anything like that. We want to just basically think about shopping the perimeter. So incorporating more foods like that are going to be a lot healthier for us, and they're going to be more nutrient dense, which basically means for that food you're going to get a lot more vitamins and minerals, things that are healthy for our bodily functions than otherwise. So for example, I like to compare an apple to applesauce to apple juice. You got 3 foods that are all, say, apple. People might think that they're all equally as nutritious, whereas the apple juice is basically stripped of all its fiber, its vitamins and minerals, and it's got a bunch of added sugar. So that's going to be a very highly processed food. It's not going to be very good for you at all. Even though they say it's a fruit and it's a juice, it's just as bad as drinking a pop. The applesauce, it's a little bit better. It might have a little bit of the fiber and nutrients in there still, but it's still going to be highly processed. Whereas your just raw apple is going to be the best. It's going to have the fiber in the peel. It's going to have those vitamins and minerals that you need. Plus, not to mention, it just takes a lot longer to eat it, so your body's going to digest it better and utilize those vitamins and minerals better. So that's what we mean by eating more whole foods, is just trying to be right to the source, or I like to say just try to minimize how many ingredients it has. You don't want to eat a food that's got 50 ingredients and half of them you can't pronounce. Look for foods that have maybe 10 or less ingredients and you can pronounce most of them.
Yeah, it goes right along the lines of our 80-20 rule that we preach quite a bit, of having 80% of your foods whole foods, ones that you can pronounce, of course, and you find in the perimeter of the grocery store. You can think about keeping those foods in your house. My side tip to this is, if you don't want to eat it, keep it out of your house, because it's a lot easier to stay away from those foods if it's not in your immediate environment. So by filling your house with the whole foods, keeping them at the forefront of like the fridge, so that's the first thing that you see in there, because honestly, humans are kind of lazy. We want what's expedient, whatever is easiest to eat when we're hungry. I mean, if you come home and you're starving from work or a workout, are you more likely to take 30 minutes to create a very whole, balanced meal? Or are you going to warm something up in the microwave that takes 2 minutes and then you can eat sooner? Probably you're going to want to eat sooner, just because that's what we want to do. We want to eat sooner. We want to have that instant gratification. Even though we might know it's probably better to eat the better foods, it's once hunger is in play, we'll do kind of whatever it takes to eat it.
And just to add on to that, don't grocery shop when you're hungry.
That too. That's another side tip for that one.
Another side tip.
Yeah, because humans are really driven by hunger when it comes to that. So keeping that stuff out of your house, and then with the whole foods is one, like you said, it kind of takes a little bit longer to eat, and plus they are just less calorically dense than if you have processed foods. That's one thing, is they're hyper palatable, and they usually have a bunch of added sugars, added fats, oils that really increase the amount of calories that are in those foods. So it might take more or the same volume of food to fill you up, but you get different calories for both. So for some people, it's actually a little bit less daunting to just clean up their diet, and that naturally reduces the amount of calories they eat, allowing them to lose weight. Instead of like tracking everything that they have and then just reducing the portion size of the junk food that they're currently eating, it just helps to kind of swap out those things, and then you naturally, without even kind of thinking about it, eat less calories that way.
Yeah, I know I've fallen into the trap, and I know I've had clients also fall into the trap of, and I'm just going to use this as an example again because I've done it, and I've had clients who've done it who say that they ate the Kodiak pancakes every single morning for breakfast because, oh, it's 16 grams of protein, like a good amount of source of carbs and stuff like that. And it's like, yes, that is a good alternative to like regular pancakes if you do want a little bit of a treat, but that is not a whole food. That is not a natural source of food, so that's not something that you should be eating every single day. You need to have your eggs and your whole foods. Such as kind of my example of.
Not to mention, you probably end up putting syrup on it still,
Right,
which is probably all sugar
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, a pancake is cake.
Right.
You wouldn't have an ice cream cake for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's basically the same.
Yeah. I love when people are like, muffins are healthier than cupcakes, and I'm like, they're like
Basically,
the same thing, but
yeah.
It's a
okay.
breakfast version of a cupcake.
Well, and there's those like Kodiak,
Muffins.
basically
Yes.
muffin things, and people think, oh, if I'm going to work, I just grab this and take it with me to work, which
That's
look
a
at the
whole.
sugars
That's a
on it.
whole other
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
Is like the misconception of labeling. We live in a world now where people are starting to be more health conscious, so they look at the labels on the front of the packaging, not reading the label of it, but they look at what's on the front, high protein, this Kodiak stuff. Like, not to say that it's bad. It's definitely better, like she said, than some other stuff, so, don't be afraid to eat it, but she just means like every 7 days a week you probably wouldn't want to. But they get you by saying high protein or keto friendly or low sugar or something like gluten free. They put gluten free stuff on stuff that doesn't have any carbs in it. Like
Yeah, they put it on meat, and it's like,
yeah, meat can't have gluten, people. Okay, but anyways, the last tip. We guys done with that one, anyways?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one. This is really, really quick and easy. Speaking of reading food labels, that's my tip, is just to start reading the label and look for added sugars. So a lot of people look for protein, carbs, and fats, but I want you guys to focus on the added sugars. That's something that they started to have to put on labels pretty recently, within the last couple of years, I think. is they actually list how many grams of added sugar. So that's not naturally occurring. So on a fruit, obviously you're gonna have some naturally occurring sugar, but a lot of the foods that we eat, they actually put in added sugar. So if you can, avoid it completely, or I would say just to try to stay under 10 grams per serving, maybe even more than that, maybe less than 5 grams a serving. For example, like I like to have RX protein bars. They do have a little bit of added sugar, but I know that that's one of the only foods that I eat that does have added sugar. So just try to pay more attention to that. And I would say in a total day, probably staying under 70 or 80 grams of sugar in total. Somewhere around there would be like a good tip. If you're not tracking it, don't worry about it too much. Just try to pay attention to everything that you are eating and make sure it's got less than, or no or less than 10 grams of added sugar. So the last tip, so those were the 9. The last one kind of wraps up everything that we've talked about. We want you guys to create a game plan to practice these tips and these habits. So you can't, it's one thing to know all this stuff, it's a whole other thing to actually start incorporating it into your lifestyle. We went over a lot of great stuff, and there's a lot of great tips, but if you just try to do it all at once, you're never going to be able to do it sustainably forever. It's going to be way too much to handle. So our recommendation is going to be start really slow and pick maybe 1 or 2 habits off this list and practice them until they become kind of natural. That you wake up and it's just a part of your daily routine. So make it become a habit before you start incorporating the rest. So pick 1 or 2 that maybe you struggle with the absolute most. Maybe you really struggle with drinking water, or maybe you never get up and move from your desk or work out. Focus on those 2 for 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks before you get it down, and then go on to the next one.
Yeah, you want to make it almost automatic. That's what basically a habit is. It's just something that you do without thinking about it. Same thing as like your bad habits. You can use that autonomy, that regulation of these new habits, and just kind of have it regular throughout your day. You can put like different reminders either on your phone, or you can put up a sticky note, something on your fridge, whatever you can to kind of remind yourself, because the first few weeks you honestly might just forget to do it. And that's what a lot of people run into when trying to form these new healthy habits, is they can stick to it for a week or 2, but after a couple of weeks you start to fall into your bad habits again. So another side tip underneath this one is 1 day of falling off would be a mistake, 2 days is a pattern. So if you forget it for 1 day, it's fine, just get back on it tomorrow. If you forget it for 2 days, it starts to be a pattern. So maybe keeping that in mind of it's okay if you're gonna mess up, honestly. We all mess up. There's days where we don't feel like working out, and there's days that our diet's not where it should be, where we don't drink enough water, etc. And making sure that you're at least getting the majority of your days hitting those habits, that's where you're gonna make the most progress.
Yeah, definitely do not try to do all 10 things at once. You will for sure overwhelm yourself, and then you'll kind of just experience almost like a burnout, and you'll feel like you've totally failed because you didn't hit all 10 things. But your brain can only focus on so many new things at once, so take it slow and steady. Don't feel like you have to accomplish everything in 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. Give it lots of time.
Yeah, we're trying to basically adopt a new lifestyle here, and you're kind of trying to change your identity from where you are right now to like a fit and healthy person, and it's going to take time. We like to talk about, if it took you 20 years to get out of shape, it's not going to take you 3 months to get back in shape. It's going to take years possibly. So don't worry about trying to go super fast. This is a lifestyle change, it's a different shift. It's taken us years to adopt these habits, and we're still practicing them. We're still not perfect. That's another thing though, is you don't have to be perfect with any of these. I like to just say, if there's a fresh start on Monday. If you do screw up a couple days, so be it. Just start back on Monday, get back on track. Like she said, like when you screw up 1 day, just get back on track. And a lot of people dread Mondays, and I kind of consider it like a fresh start to a new week. You get the chance to, rewrite your story basically every single week. So I would definitely suggest just practicing these. I'll go through them one more time real quick. So first one we had was quality sleep. Try to focus on getting better quality sleep. So dark room, keep it cool, background noise, avoid your screens, try not to hit snooze. Drinking half your body weight in ounces of water. Maybe a good thing that you could do right away is like get a shaker bottle, or like Bethany's got, fill this right up, try to drink it in a day, or try to drink 2 or 3 of these in a day. Like start small and then build onto that. As far as our training, try to just move every day. That's super easy to do, honestly. It's one of the easier things to do. Something else we were going to mention is we only have 2 tips for exercise, and we have 5, technically 6 tips for nutrition and water. Because our nutrition is actually way more important than the exercise. And I think a lot of people think that working out is the number one thing, the reason that they're not healthier in shape. When actually, if they just focus on the nutrition, they will actually get in a lot better shape just from that. But as far as the nutrition does, or the fitness does go, just try to move every day. Like go for a walk, bike ride, get outside for 10 minutes, or try to join a gym or do some resistance training at home, 2 to 3 days a week for about 30 minutes. That would be the gist of our fitness. For the nutrition, trying to eat 3 meals a day, making sure you're getting protein with each of those. The other one that we forgot was 2 to 3 servings of vegetables. I would definitely try to increase your vegetable intake as well. It's very, very tough for us. A lot of people don't incorporate it. For me, I try to make it as easy as possible, so I'll literally throw spinach and blend it up in my shakes. I throw spinach in my egg wraps, and then with dinner, typically you're gonna have a vegetable with dinner. So try to get 2 to 3 servings a day if you can. Avoid those added sugars. Try to focus on shopping to the perimeter so you're getting more whole foods and dense nutrition. And then last but not least, just try to create that game plan and practice 1 or 2 of these for a couple of weeks, or until you get it down to where it's naturally occurring. You don't have to think about it, you don't have to remind yourself of it, and then try to adopt another. If you need a little bit of help with this, a big part of doing this stuff is mindset, which we kind of talked about last week with failures equal lessons and obstacles equal opportunities. All these you could consider obstacles. They are kind of tough things that you have to incorporate in your life, but they're all an opportunity to get better and grow in your life as well. So check out the last episode that we did last week, which was number 60, on those obstacles equal opportunities, kind of changing your mindset. That will help you get into that positive mindset, kind of give you that little energy boost to actually start incorporating some of these habits into your lifestyle. So until next time, stay healthy, you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can see all of our future videos, and it'll just help us out. If you need any help at all, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be happy to meet with you and talk about your goals or get you on track. So see you later, guys, and have a good one. Bye.